Hey, everybody. My name is Kurt Molly. I'm here with Social Media Ad Genius, Black Box Social Media. We have our partner in crime right over here, which is Jeff Schechter, a.k.a. we call him Shecky. Welcome here if you're seeing the recording or watching us live. Basically, what we do is every single week, every Sunday, Shecky releases a brand new blog, which last time, on Sunday, yesterday, he released a blog, Standing on the Shoulder of Giant Nerds. Now, here's the thing. What we're really going to talk about today is the artificial intelligence and how Facebook, Google, these other sites, these other social sites we're sending paid traffic to, they're really a lot smarter than we are on targeting. So if we set everything up right, the world can really be our oyster. I mean, it really can. Like Facebook and Google, they'll predict the traffic, where the best traffic's going to be. We're going to talk about that today. Remember, the way that this all works is there's a blog that comes out every single week. And on Monday, we talk about that blog in depth, answer some questions here, getting some great engagement. We go back and forth. That's what we hear from Shecky and I. And then every Wednesday, we have a breakout session. And that breakout session is where we document everything we talked about here, step by step, inside of PowerPoints, next steps, what to do. You know, over the last 90 days, we've been recording something that we call the Social Media Ad Genius Profit Factory. And it's really 12 steps to ensure that you always have a long-term funnel for lifetime value. Now, what we're doing today is we're going to talk about the algorithm. It's really the 12th step in the Social Media Ad Genius Profit Factory. I mean, we've built through establishing the right avatar. You guys hear me say this every single week, right? We've got the right target market. We've been targeting the right people. We've been following up. We've been testing out landing pages, follow-up messaging. We talked about splinter offers. We talked about additional and affiliate offers, follow-up to increase the lifetime value. Now, if all this is done right, all 11 steps are done right, the automation at scale comes into the artificial intelligence. Now, Shecky, you know, since I've drawn out the Profit Factory, you know, many months ago, actually back in November, early December, you know that, man, all I've been talking about is how do we describe the artificial intelligence? Because really, if everything's set up right, Shecky, what have you seen the artificial intelligence, the conversion pixel on Facebook, do to our business since you've known me over the last 2.5 years?
Well, it makes things completely different, and I kind of like the way you phrased it about being way smarter than we are. Because I kind of feel like we're pretty smart, and I think our students are pretty smart too. But just the way that technology works, like when you can install a pixel and you just like kind of go about your normal day, and you test a few ads and you test a little bit of affinity audience, you don't even have to be that good at it. You just have to get a few conversions, right? You have to do what we call season that pixel, right? So it's really just a matter of getting a few conversions to happen on that pixel. But then all the stuff that these nerds have programmed has just been unbelievable, because basically what it's doing is it's telling Facebook or Google or whatever platform you're on, like, boom, here's a conversion. It's this exact profile, right? So they can then take that information and marry it with all of the other intelligence that they have, across all these behavioral models, across all these other profiles, right? So it's beautiful because you can say, hey, look, this is the kind of person that's already doing business with me. Like, I've done this little bit of testing, right? So now what will happen is all you do is you go back to Facebook and you go back to Google with this like seasoned pixel, and you say, just give me a lot more of these people, right? Like it sounds really simple, and it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's jump back and go from like a 25,000 foot view first, right? Because we kind of jump into some pixels, and some people watch this for the first time. So let's talk about why we're calling this Standing on the Shoulders of Giants Nerds, right? Here's the deal. Social media. Let's talk about the Facebook, right? So Facebook itself, when you log into your news feed, there's over 150,000 different indicators that Facebook takes a look at to figure out what's going to appear to be the very first thing in your newsfeed when you logged in, and the second, and the third, and the fourth. The entire ranking of your entire newsfeed is all figured out by a bunch of brilliant scientists, psychologists. I mean, these are brilliant people who understand human behavior at such a massive scale because there's so much data. See, what happens is Facebook and Google, they want to give you the best experience possible. Not everyone looking for you to have the best experience possible. They want to make sure that it matches your interest, that it matches your targets, your likes, The thing is, this is very, 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 very important. We've talked about this for very many weeks. It's not just billboard advertising. Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, they want to make sure that ads are improving the user experience. So really important. Ads are improving the user experience. Well, how would Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, how would these guys know if the ad is improving experience? Well, what they do is they have you put in a little tracking code. Facebook and Twitter do this. I think LinkedIn's now starting to have one, or they will be pretty soon. And Google definitely has this. And what it is what Shecky said is a pixel. Now, a pixel is just a fancy word for a little piece of code, little programming code. It's kind of funny, Shecky, when we say the word pixel or code, people go, oh crap, what does that mean?
They freak out.
And all that is a little line that you copy and paste on your website. Now, you can't see it on your website, but what it does is it's almost kind of like it puts stickers in the backs of people when they visit your website. So see these little, what they call pixels. We're going to talk about conversion pixels, this little line of code, right? This little line of code you put on your website. Now, again, Facebook, Google, Twitter have this. I believe LinkedIn's coming out with this. So here's what happens. Now, you may have heard the old adage, right? Facebook wants you to keep people in Facebook. They don't want you to leave Facebook. Not true. Not true at all. Now, ideally, they want you to, they like you to stay in Facebook, but they don't care if you stay in Facebook or not because of that conversion pixel or that pixel. See, when people leave Facebook and you put that little code of Facebook, for example, on your website, right? The conversion pixel or the pixel, they just call it now. Now what happens is Facebook can learn, did you spend much time on that website or did you just click on it and leave right away? Because if you clicked on the ad, that means it could be relevant. But if you got away from the page right away and you bounced off the page, it doesn't mean it's relevant. Are people spending time on that page? If there's a video on the page, are they watching the video? Are they able to navigate around easily? Or do they get trapped in the experience? Are there links on that page that will take them to the terms of use so people can click around and understand what the offer is? See that pixel itself, that little piece of code, Facebook, Google, and again, Twitter, it's all the same. What they're doing is they're monitoring who's coming over to your website. Now, you're going to be able to really do two things with this little piece of code. Number one, Facebook, Google, Twitter, they're going to see who's coming to your site. They're going to see who leaves your site so you can retarget. They're going to see the demographics of the people that come to your site. They're going to understand the users on your site. So they, Twitter, Facebook, or Google, can serve better ads to people to make sure it's relevant. So what ends up happening is, not only can you use this pixel to retarget, but Facebook, Google, Twitter, they're learning from your traffic. They learn the people that opt in. This little pixel can see the people who opted in, and they can identify profiles that are very similar to those people who opted in. And buys. Facebook and Google, they can watch the buys when they come in. So what ends up happening is we may target, and I'll just make up a target. Let's just say, because we worked with a client recently in the yoga niche. Who are people interested in yoga? Well, I can target yoga teachers, and I can target people who are interested in yoga. Shecky's really interested in yoga, but Shecky might not like any pages about yoga, but may like some personalities around the yoga, what's the word I'm saying? Arena, right? Or niche.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is when I get people to opt into my yoga offer, let's say my email list, and I get over 100 people, I always use the number 100 because it's quantifiable. Once I have over 100 people, Facebook or Google or Twitter, they can start to see and look for what we call similar audiences. See, what they're going to do is they're going to figure out this little pixel, all the information what these nerds have created, they're going to figure out, okay, well, I saw 100 opt-ins or 100 buyers. Oh, you know what? I can go out and find similar audiences that are makeup and profiles of other people online on Facebook, Twitter, or Google, that these platforms will go out and find people who are similar to those opting in. Now, again, we're talking about the yoga niche. I may just target yoga teachers, but there's a much wider audience out there. Affinity audiences we've talked about early on, where, for instance, we could target yoga instructors, people who are interested in yoga magazine. However, these similar audiences, these lookalike audiences, what these pixels are learning, it is all scientific evidence, all proven with numbers, that really are so far outside of our imagination what to target, that's where we can really scale businesses. So these pixels must always be installed before you start running traffic. As you start running organic traffic, affiliates, promotions, paid traffic, whatever, they're learning and watching. It's basically like you've hired a nerd to sit on your website and watch people come and go and judge if your content is relevant and judge if people are liking your content and judge if people are using your content. And after they see enough people flow through, these nerds, these scientists, they are brilliant people, right? They go, wait a minute. I know you guys are targeting yoga people, but there's this whole other niche that you probably didn't even think of. I tell you what, you kid, you just hit the buttons to make sure that you're getting the right cost per acquisition. You let us figure everything else out because we scientists have already figured out the data. What a lot of people will do is they'll set up these pixels. One, they'll set up these pixels and they'll say, Facebook or Twitter or Google optimize to this pixel, like optimize to get leads, optimize to get buys. But if you don't have 100 people, like Shecky said before, if you don't season the pixel, if these social sites don't see at least 100 people past that goal, how in the hell do they know who to go look for?
Right.
So I have people all the time who say, Kurt, Facebook has this thing called optimize the conversion. And I'm trying to optimize for leads, but I'm not getting any leads. And I go, okay, you told a supercomputer to go out and find you leads. Yep. What's the qualification to get those leads? They're like, I don't know. That's right. Get really good on your avatar targeting so your pixel is going to learn, so the pixel will do all the hard work for you. But literally, the treasure is in data. That's where the gold is. And if you get 100, 200, 300, 400 opt-ins, now you start looking across your website, you can start seeing this is where people opted in at. This is where the opt-in rate's really good at. People don't like this article, or they really like this article. But Google, Facebook, and Twitter, they'll suggest audiences for you, not a target, but what they call lookalike audiences. These are all based by science. These lookalike audiences have been able to take companies where we scale them from here to like that because they're really a lot smarter. So Shecky, you've been in advertising. You've owned multiple businesses over many, many, many years. Lots of different marketing trends you've seen out there. When is the last time that you saw that's what it's called, an artificial intelligence program and target people from you? You've been doing this for a while. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's kind of what I was talking about in the article, and I appreciate you, by the way, giving that clarity because I kind of got ahead of myself, and that's what I meant by seasoning the pixel and just gaining data, right? And so what's really cool about what's going on is we're living in a time that is really unequaled from the standpoint of how we can dial things in. And like, for example, if we go back to this conversation about the nerds, right? And you and I had an interesting conversation with this the other day, just about like all this behavioral modeling, for example, that goes on. Like they're looking across millions of profiles, right? Millions of buying trends.
By the way, instantly, not over months, literally.
Right, because the way artificial intelligence works is, to an extent, the programming is set up that it itself almost like has its own brain, and it continues to get smarter, right? So the more data you give it, right, the better sort of foundation it has to learn about how to give you your best audiences to advertise to in the future. But at the same time that it's learning, it's also learning across millions of other profiles, looking at all this behavioral stuff. And this is kind of what we got into in our conversation the other day, is the kind of some of this marriage of big data houses, right? And I know you explain it a lot better than me, but if I just take a stab at this from a standpoint of just really simple, obviously there's a lot of other companies out there that aggregate data. And so as a result, they can look across these behavioral models and validate that behavior with the big data. They say, well, we're seeing these trends, but can we use that big data kind of as the double check to make sure that as we're learning this stuff and going out and better serving our advertisers, is this really true? Or as Mercer might say, is this really one good version of the truth, right? So this is what's so cool is like, I mean, yeah, everybody knows that I'm a bit older, I'm a baby boomer. And so like, I wasn't raised with email or computers or anything like that. And so, you know, like I still have all those the jingles in my head, like from Pepsodent from the 1960s, right? And this was when like the only thing we had essentially was radio and TV, and everything just became like this complete shotgun approach. So clearly there wasn't as many advertisers, but you just kind of had to take a shotgun approach, or as you would say, Kurt, a billboard approach, and just put it out there to everybody and hope that from a standpoint of your ROI, that a percentage of that ad spend is going to stick and land on the right people. Okay. And so what's beautiful about what's going on now is, to an extent, we have the opposite situation. We can say, look, we don't have to do any kind of shotgun advertising. Yes, we have to do some foundational stuff and some testing initially, some affinity audiences. And, obviously, for example, if we looked in the yoga community, certainly we would test things like, meditation, physical fitness, personal development, right? Cross training, whatever, right? There's going to be things that are the obvious affinity groups to yoga, right? But from there, once we start seeing, like, we're gathering data of people that bought stuff from us, and we put it back to these big brains that are constantly getting more intelligent, it's so flippin' easy at that point. And the frustration that I have, like you, Kurt, as a coach and a trainer, is just to tell people, look, just get this little foundational stuff done. Just get your pixels installed and just, run a few affinity audiences and get your avatar dialed in. And then you can kind of not worry so much, right?
Yeah.
Like you could, yes, you still have to do certain things and it still requires some testing, but the amount of leverage that you have, and that's why we called it standing on the shoulders of giant nerds. Like, you can stand on the shoulder of these giants that have just built this just incredible machine, and they're going to do all the work. And here's the best thing. They're not even going to charge you any extra for it, right? I mean, sometimes we'll see, like a lookalike audience or a similar audience, which are words for the same thing, just depending on how much percentage you're matching towards that that initial behavior. But it's just like, okay, you may see some slight difference in getting to a bigger audience, but now you've got all these other people that you can advertise to that are the greatest likelihood of people to buy from you, right? Yeah. And you're increasing your audience by 2, 3, 5, 10-fold. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, a couple of things that you want to take a look at is similar audiences or lookalike audiences. They are going to give you some of the fastest and best scale that you can do once you run enough conversions, whether that's sales or opt-ins, through that opt-in through that pixel process, right? So there's a couple of things that I really want you to consider. Now, again, any of these recordings we have inside of Social Media Ad Genius, right? It's where we have a whole family member community where we have lots of videos recorded, shows people step by step how to properly market on Facebook, through millions of dollars we spent in ad spend and almost 40 different niches up in this point. So what happens is the biggest learning opportunity we have seen from these conversion pixels or these pixels is a couple of things that I'm going to touch on what Shecky said. Number one, they are seeing demographics and they're seeing trends that unfortunately, our brains are just not comprehending on how they match data. See what they actually do. They say they do this anonymously, but I don't know how they do it. But here's what happens. They take purchasing information, like, the little saver cards that you have on keychains and stuff like that, or like when you go to Walmart or some grocery stores, you'll swipe that little saver card. That information is actually matched up to the demographic information inside of Facebook. So you can that's how you're able to target people with $200,000 plus net income, live in houses that are valued over $250,000, bought green smoothies last month. Well, what happens is Google, Facebook, they're combining this data in a private way that you can target people. And with all this data being able to match up, once you're running enough people to your page, now you're going to be able not only to retarget, but to find these similar audiences where Facebook will go out and find the right target. Now, one important thing that, Shecky, that you mentioned, let's talk about cost and investment. Very, very important. Oh, by the way, I want to acknowledge Andy over here. Shecky, she obviously got the email from my friend Susan Branton about my big watch. I don't have my big watch on today. I only have my one watch. I don't have my other watch, but it goes, hey, Kurt, you got 2 watches. Yeah, you have to Google the internet for that one. That is a PG-13 rating. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I'm glad you brought that. It was great. Real quick question here. Roberto has a question. What percentage of your campaigns do you use similar audiences, and do you only use it for retargeting? No, similar audiences we use once we have over 100 conversions, whether that's opt-ins or buys or conversions. Now, we always have our control campaigns run, to the exact target that we're running to. So this is actually my next segue. So this is a great question to ask here, Roberto. So here's the way that it works. Let's just say that I am targeting yoga, right? Let's just make up some numbers. Let's say I'm getting a 1% click-through rate, right? Which is kind of low, but not too bad. And let's just say it's $1 a click, right? So I'm targeting yoga, and it is 1% click-through rate, $1 a click, right? Let's just say every 10 people buy, right? So every 10 clicks, I get a buy. So if clicks are $1, right? It's cost me $10 to get a buy of, let's just say the product's $47. Okay? Now, if I can double that click-through rate for my ads from 1% to 2%, I can get double the amount of people to my page, same price, right? Same price. So I'm always looking from targeting yoga. Okay, I know I can get it here for $1. Great. If I work on my click-through rate, I bet I can get it a little bit cheaper and 1 out of 10 people buy. So great. It's going to cost me $10 to send people over. I make $47. Great. Now, again, 1 out of 10 people buy. $1 clicks, very important. 1, 1, 1. Now let's say I have 100 sales. Now I start optimizing for the conversion. I never turn off my control campaign until my new campaign beats it, ever, right? So now I turn on these similar audiences. And what I start to do is I start to notice, $2 clicks. Crap, that's twice as much as I'm getting targeting yoga. But every third person buys. So instead of being every $10 that buys, it is literally every $6 leads to a $47 sale. Cost per click looks like it's double. But the only thing I care about is what's the cost per conversion and what's the conversion percentage. Let me give you an example. If I turn on optimize for conversions and I'm running a lookalike audience, it may be a little bit more expensive, but they may be a little bit more qualified. So if it's a $2 click, right? If it's a $2 click and every third person buys, oh my goodness, that's a 33% close rate, right? That's better than a 10% close rate. That's 3 times better.
Yeah.
So my cost per click is more, but I'm actually cost per acquisition is lower, right? The second thing that you look at, for example, let's say the cost per click was, now I'm running optimized per conversions, and let's say the cost per click is $3. What a lot of people do is freak out, which, by the way, Shecky, remember, whenever you look at numbers, the first thing you should always do is freak out. The second thing is, oh my God, what the hell just happened? And then the third thing is logic and numbers. Or actually,
good to get
logic and numbers.
It's good to get the freak out part out of the way first, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, freak out, wonder what the hell you're going to do before you figure it out, right? So let's just say, a lot of people, what they do is they get so fixated on their cost per click or their cost per acquisition, they don't see the forest through the trees. Let me give you a perfect example, okay? Let's say that you have a cost per click now for $4. You're doing you're doing a similar audience, you're optimizing for conversions, and your cost went from $1 to $4. Well, that means you're getting 1 click versus 4 clicks for $1, right? Well, what happens if every other person buys? Well, that's $8 a sale. My last scenario, remember we were targeting for the $3 clicks, every third person bought, right? That was $6 a sale. Now this is $8 because every other person's buying. My cost per sale went up. Every other person is a buyer. I don't give a shit if I'm paying an extra $2. Every other person. So you want to take a look. If your cost per click goes up, are you getting a more valuable lead? How do you know if it's a more valuable lead? Well, you're going to find out through your funnel. And what's your opt-in or buy rate? If your opt-in rate is 80%, well, yes, I'm going to target these leads even though they're $6 where I pay $4 everywhere else. But 80% of them are opting in. So, Roberto, to answer your question, what percentage of your campaigns do you use similar audiences? We always have the one control or multiple controls that's running, let's say 4 different campaigns for keywords. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test out 4 different campaigns, 1% lookalike audience, 2% lookalike audience, and I'll exclude 1%, 3% lookalike audience, 4% lookalike audience, and I'm always excluding the lookalike audiences before them, right? So I target like 2% of a lookalike audience, but I exclude 1, right? I'm always getting, Shecky's going to draw this out for our presentation, but I'm always going from here, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, and I'm excluding everything from the middle. Now, here's what ends up happening. I'm going to test 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, and more, right? It goes all the way to 9%, number one. But I'm also going to layer the audiences. So if I create a 1% lookalike audience from my email list, let's just say I have 100 emails and I create a lookalike email or a lookalike audience for my email list. And let's just say it provides me 200,000 lookalike contacts that I can target. If I'm targeting yoga, I'm going to target the 1% lookalike audience and add in the keyword to take that big market of 250,000. I'm going to put in the word keyword. I'm going to put in the keyword yoga. So do these people in the 1% match with yoga? It's going to drop that targeting from 250,000. I'm going to make this up to 50,000. That is a perfect target that 1% of the people who opted in and who like the term yoga have a high probability of opting into my page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my regular 4 campaigns that are all going after the different keyword clusters that we use. I'm going to test 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, all the way up to 9%. And I'm going to create another version of these campaigns that will layer in these keywords. So I'm actually going to have 3 different types of campaigns running. One to my core avatar, one to just a straight up 1%, one to straight up 1%, and my most popular keywords we call layering. You will find that you'll start looking at the numbers, where are conversions coming in, you start adding a little bit more money to lookalikes, a little bit more money, but just always remember, are you getting quality leads? It doesn't matter if the cost goes up a little bit, the cost may go up, but are your conversions higher? So really, really, really important. We have another question here too. Are you in parallel optimizing your conversion rates on your ads for copy and images, or does that take place before you do all of this? So you're always going to be optimizing your images. Sometimes they fade quickly. Sometimes we've had images we ran for a year and a half. But we're always optimizing for the images. And the better that we can get a click-through rate and the more qualified our avatar is, not just running for a bunch of clicks. Like I can target 18 to 55-year-olds and put a picture of a pretty girl with big boobs. Lots of people will click on it, but it doesn't mean they're our right avatar, right? So what we do is we're always super hyper-focused on who our avatar is, hyper focused. Because all the clicks coming over then, what's then going to happen is all the clicks coming over, they're going to be great for retargeting because we spent so much time on that avatar. Second thing is when the lookalike audiences start to build, because we were really specific on our avatar, now we let the scientists do all the wide targeting. Notice I'm not starting out doing really wide targeting because then I'm going to get a bunch of junk clicks or maybe even opt-ins that don't really matter that I don't want Facebook to even widen even more. I want to start really small, be really specific on my avatar, and widen out. So, Shecky, you've talked to, I appreciate that. Thank you, Roberto. You've talked to lots of our students, and it amazes me because they don't focus on the avatar because they don't realize this whole domino effect, and they don't even run a like campaign. Like, they're like, Shecky, I didn't really spend much time on the avatar. Do you want to talk about, like, what you see people when they don't focus on the avatar, like how, holy crap, this can really screw up the domino effect later?
Yes. Well, first of all, I do, but I got to give you kudos because I don't know if you guys on this call were just listening to what just came out of Kurt's mouth, but like I got to click on. I think we should all just pile on and give him the kudos because here's the thing that I want to just emphasize about what you just said. Like, there's too many people that are, and this also goes to the same conversation about the avatar conversation. They're not seeing the forest for the trees. And when you start looking at, and even I was sort of guilty of leading into that conversation that way, suggesting, like cost of a lookalike audience, right? But it's not the only factor. You have to start thinking like, how many sales am I making as a percentage of the people that are opting in? What's my price point? Really, what's going to make me the most money, right? So here's another good example, right? Let's say that you're driving for Uber, right? And let's say that you're driving a little economy car that holds 3 people, right? And it costs you $10K to buy this economy car. That's great, okay? And you can take people around in your Uber car. But now you have the ability to spend $15,000 on an 8-seater minivan that can take like 130% more people, right? And so as a result, even though you spent 50% more on your vehicle, right, you now have the opportunity to generate 200% more income. So, again, I just want to thank you for that explanation, because it's really clean and clear, and it just helps people to really understand that there's more. And it seems like we always get those questions. Well, how much are you spending on this? How much are you spending on that? And it's like this one big holistic relationship. Think in terms of being holistic about this stuff. And if you do, you'll never go wrong. And that speaks to the question that you just asked me, just about the initial foundational stuff. And we're on Wednesday, we're actually going to do a brief review of that in the first few slides, just to make sure that people understand how important is it just right out of the outset to know who really the best kind of personality that's going to buy your stuff, or that's going to resonate with your message or your product or service. It's uber important, to reuse a word, right? And so to know that, and then to be able to test some of that finery of what kind of language, what kind of images, what kind of headlines, what kind of things are going to resonate with them, so that you get just a baseline, right? You've got some pixels installed, you know who they are, you got a pretty good idea who's going to buy from you. Yeah, you run a few sales, you run a little bit of traffic. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent, and you have to essentially have to build a good baseline and a good control. If that's all you do, right, and then let the artificial intelligence take over, guys and gals, you are freaking golden at that point. Because that's where, and we see this with our clients too, that's where the big scale comes in. And depending on where you are in your skill set, like if you're a newbie, and I don't use that term negatively, you're not really necessarily using words like scale yet. You're figuring it out. But I will tell you that the clients that we have that go beyond newbies, right, and they start getting this stuff and they start testing, their biggest challenge is scaling. Their biggest challenge is taking something that they know is already working, that they've got a baseline. They've been spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, but they have the resources to spend $50,000 or $100,000, and they want to spend it, right? They don't want to spend it stupidly, but they want to scale that thing out. And that's where this good foundation comes into play, and leveraging the intelligence of those pixels so that you can say, give me these amazing audiences. And I don't know if you realized it, Kurt, but you actually gave away 2 of the answers of the 3 questions that we're going to be asking on Wednesday. So if people are listening carefully, they're going to get some extra insights if they come on Wednesday. But I loved what you also said just about there was a nuance that you put in there about layering the keyword on top of the lookalike audience. Because if you think about it, like now what are you doing when you're doing that? You're saying, look, we have this marriage, right? We're going to take your artificial intelligence, all this, behavioral science and math and everything like that. But I'm just going to put my one little dumb comment in there that it's actually yoga people. So I'm going to take what you know and what I know, and we're going to marry it. And we're going to have this freaking unstoppable ad campaign now.
Yeah. So here's a couple of things that I really want to focus on, Shecky, that you had touched on a little bit, and this kind of goes into the mindset, I guess, of it. We were talking about genius ideas or genius thought processes, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to be really open here and use an offendable word. Here's where people fuck up their own career. Yeah. What they do is they go, I am going to start with a $500 budget. I can't lose any more than $500. Stop. Don't even get started. Go burn your cash. Because a $500 budget, right? You can do it with $500. But when you say it's a budget, I just got into it with a client of this because I'm really passionate about this thing called numbers, facts, and conversions. And emotions they kind of just get in the way of not making smart decisions by the numbers, right? Yeah. Yeah. And what ends up happening, excuse me, I sneeze here for a second. The allergies outside. So what ends up happening is we want to drive continuous traffic. Now, if we're going to spend $500, we're going to get really focused on our avatar. We're going to spend $500. We're going to learn what happens when people come to our page. Did they opt in? Did they buy? Now, we want to keep retargeting them down the funnel. This is what we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. We've spent so much time on the avatar. But what's interesting is I was talking to a client recently, and we were talking about moving a price point from, let's just say, $50 to $100, right? And they're like, Kurt, we can't start at a higher price and go down. We're going to look dumb. So we're going to start at we're not going to start at $50. We're going to raise the price to 60, 70, 80, 90, and then 100. But if we start at 100, we can't go down. And I go, you just told me that you can't do it, so you won't even start there. That's the problem. You don't want to start a statement with, hey, I have a $500 budget. What happens if I lose it? Now, you might not make a sale. Hell, you might not even make an opt-in if you really screwed things up. But you're not going to screw anything up if you have the targeting right, because you can always use retargeting to go over to different offers and pages that align with the avatar. So spend time on the avatar. If you start running traffic and you see that you're getting $2 clicks or $4 clicks, people always ask me, Kurt, what's a cheap click? It all depends. It depends if you're looking for doctor leads. It all depends. And always remember, how much is your cost per acquisition? What's your average revenue per acquisition? So that's either cost per lead, average revenue per lead, or cost per sale and average revenue per sale. Those are the only really 4 numbers that matter, period. Revenue per sale, cost per sale. Revenue per lead, cost per lead. That's it. What happens is if you start out with a $500 budget, let's just say for the month, which could be, let's make it easy. Let's say a $300 budget. It's $10 a day, right? Let's just say it's $1 a click. You're only going to get 10 clicks a day. It's going to take you 10 days to get 100 clicks to figure out what is statistically relevant. 10 days. So do you want to get information quicker or later? You can test $10 a day, but if your average lead is $5, you're only going to get 2 leads a day. That's it. It's very hard to build a business on 2 leads a day. Now, if you're spending $50 a day over 10 days, that's $500. Now, that either sounds like a lot of money, but if you put $500 in over 10 days and 10 days later you got $700 out, would you keep spending $500? So, Shecky, let's just say that you and I own a business together, very much like we do right here, right? Let's say we own a business together. And if I sat down and said, hey, Shecky, I have a $500 budget for the ads for the month, you're going to say, great, we're going to budget the $500. Now, if I spent $500 and made $800, should I only spend that $500 and stop and wonder what the hell just happened, or should I spend more money?
Well, I don't often do this, but I would be strongly encouraging you to spend more money.
Yeah, Shacky's like, I don't do this very often, but the facts lead to.
If you're going to put in 500 and get out 800, it's a pretty smooth formula right there. So, and I want to put an asterisk on something you just said, just because you said it about mindset, and there's a distinction there, and it's just exactly about this $500 budget. You talked about the guy or gal that says, I've got $500 and that's all I can spend, right? And it's almost like there's this desperation mindset. Like
they feel that it's going to be lost.
Work, right? This has to work, right? Yep. There's a big difference between that person, and they may only have $500 to spend, but person B spends that $500 and goes, what can I learn from this expenditure? Right? Like it's the same $500 spend, but the intentions are very, very different, right? And I will tell you that the one with the intention of what they can learn is going to win every single time. Because even if they didn't really have many conversions in there, they're going to learn some things about what will convert in the future.
Yeah, for a perfect example, Shecky, I'm glad you brought this up, and I definitely want to make sure that we talk about this in the training. And I just put a link over there, too, for those of you that want to register for the free training that we have on Wednesday. Remember, where we cover this in-depth, step-by-step tutorials and give you some next steps to work on as well, too. So here's the thing, is when someone says I have a $500 budget, like I understand conceptually what they're saying. When people are like, hey, this is all I got and I'm going to lose it, right? That's where I roll my eyes and I'm like, you don't get it. Now, you will lose the $500 if you, let's just say, again, we're going for yoga, right? If you target 18 to 65-year-olds, that's it. And you're selling this yoga thing for $50 and you just hit run, it's going to send a whole bunch of clicks of unqualified people. that maybe people may buy, they may not. That is how you waste money. That is why you have a $500 budget that you will burn. Now, if you've really spent time on your avatar, you've looked at your landing page and you made sure, okay, my avatar, does the messaging of my ad align with my avatar? Yes, great. Does my messaging of my ad, is it congruent to my landing page? Yes. Does my landing page speak to my avatar? Yes. Okay, so I got my avatar right, my ad right, my landing page. Shit, nobody opted in. I got $200. I spent $200, 200 clicks. No one opted in. But we can find out from your analytics, how long do people stay on your page? Just a second? Like, were they like, whoa, not for me, and they bounced? Or did they stay there 3 minutes reading? Something we can take a look at. But we already spent time qualifying our avatar so we can retarget those 200 clicks. So we're going to take a small little piece of our budget, and we're going to retarget those clicks that didn't opt in, maybe with a different type of opt-in offer. For example, learn how to get YouTube leads effortlessly. Crap, nobody opted in. How about learn how to get leads by using video? Same concept, different words, different looking page. Wow, now from that retargeting audience, spending just $10 a day, retargeting those people who didn't opt in, now we're starting to see some opt-ins. Or maybe I have to send them to a blog or two to redefine and re-edify the concept that I'm speaking about. So even though 200 people came over, they didn't opt in, but I can still follow up with them. Now I've changed my opt-in page a little bit. Now that I'm sending people over to my blog, now I'm going to test another opt-in with my rest of my budget. Let's just say I only get 10 leads. Crap. That is $50. That 10 leads out of $500, that's $50 a lead. Unless you're selling insurance or investment, that's damn expensive. But if they're $1 a click, I now have 500 clicks that I can follow up with retargeting to another blog, to another post. This is why we do weekly content. So that $500, what happens is we spend that over a month. We can come back and say, okay, we didn't make any money with the $500, but what did we learn? Well, we got 500 qualified clicks. Are they qualified? Yes, we spent a lot of time on targeting. Okay, good to qualified clicks. So since we have those clicks, they're not opt-ins. What ads can we run? Maybe it's a video of me explaining an offer. Maybe it's a blog that takes people to that next step. But what can we do next? Shecky always hears me say this, and I say this with our students, right? Whatever happens, we can learn from it and move forward. I'll tell you what, one thing that pisses me off or I don't deal with clients or it doesn't really work very well for me at all, Shecky, you've seen this over the years from me, is when people stop talking. So for instance, if it's like, okay, did we spend $1,000 on ads? Yeah. Did we make any sales? No. Did we get any leads? No. Whoa, that's bad. But we did set up targeting right, so I know I can follow up with those people. But let's look at this data, what we can learn from it. Because there's still people that landed on the page, they at least clicked on the ad. I want to see what I can do next, right? What can I do next? The people that fail at this business stop running traffic. Or they're so scared because they don't know the data to look at. This is why we've created the Profit Factory, is they stop and they look around and they go, oh my God, my $500 was spent. What happened? They analyze the data for weeks, if not months, and the retargeting list has now died off. Everything has died off the vine. So Shecky, do you mind just commenting for just a minute? Because you see it all the time. The start and stop mentality of entrepreneurs because they don't know the right numbers that they're looking at and how that really screws up like the AI process we're talking about here.
Well, that's exactly what happens is that then the AI can't learn. And probably the thing that helps you the most is momentum. I can't, we haven't really been able to successfully prove this, okay? But what we see on our campaigns, especially on Facebook, is like when we're running like campaigns, when we're boosting posts, when we're, running a few different campaigns, and we're consistently doing that all at the same time, there is a synergistic effect. It seems like we're getting, better relevancy scores, easier approval of ads, just better traffic, just in general. We're just getting better treatment. And so, yeah, I know that it's proven. It's just, when you start looking at multiple different parts and pieces, it's hard to completely quantify that. But we do know it to be true. And, go ahead.
Here's a perfect example. That's why we have all the 12 steps of the Profit Factory, right? It's like, okay, who are we really going to focus on for our avatar? Like, let's clear everything out of the way and let's only focus on who's our perfect customer, not someone with a credit card. Like, we spend a lot of time on this, right? And then we look at targeting that aligns with that. Then we look at the messaging that aligns with that and the landing page that aligns with that. And then what happens after the landing page or with the retargeting on it as well, too. So what ends up happening is you've done all the hard work. And when you're running a light campaign, you're getting people to raise their hand to say, I'm interested in being an entrepreneur, or I'm interested in sports, or I'm interested in this. And as you're doing the boost post, like we talk about for engagement, you may just do a boost post with a funny picture. It may be you do 2 boost posts a week, right, for a blog post. Now, all of a sudden, you got people who are hands up. Now they're liking and commenting and putting emotions on your comments as well, too. And you can retarget your blog articles. This is why we say that you should at least be doing content at least once a week, right? Having some type of follow-up content. Now what happens is when you're targeting your cold market, they get inside. They see retargeting ads for likes, for blogs, for opt-ins, for other offers. All of a sudden, this one person is seeing all these multiple ads for your business. It looks like you have a huge business because you don't stop advertising. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You just have to spend like $10 a day on a light campaign, $10 a day on retargeting, $15 a day or $20 a day on cold marketing, $10 a day on like advertising a blog. Yeah, we're talking about $55. The people are jumping from here and learning this and learning that and learning your face. Right. And they buy over the long run. It's all about multiple exposures, not just one.
Right. And I want to address something, too, that's exactly on the same topic. As Mary Quay asked a good question that's related exactly to this. Are we talking about leads or converted leads? And I want to say also thank you to Roberto, because 2 or 3 steps down, he commented, warm leads get cold, right? That's so great. Mary and the rest
warm clicks get cold.
Yeah, warm clicks go. So think about it in terms of this way, and we talked about this in previous weeks, but if you think in terms of, say, just like a content ascension model, which is kind of what Kurt just described, right? Like if somebody if you paid to get somebody to a blog post, right? Now, that blog post does not have anything on that blog but that they can buy, right? However, they spent time on there, right? And they fired a pixel, right? So this may be a rhetorical or philosophical question, but would we as marketers call that a lead? Now, 2-3 years ago, I would have said no. I would have said, because we didn't have all these retargeting tools, right? We were much more in a direct response kind of world back then. It's like slam people to the opt-in, do everything to get the opt-in so that you can barrage them with emails. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing either, but it's no longer the only thing, and it's not really the thing that gets people into your conversation, into your tribe. What's much more effective is a content ascension model, maybe leading to an opt-in, which leads to a sale. So to put that in perspective, Mary and everybody else listening, I would say that somebody who we paid money to go to a blog post that they spent a little time on, they proved at that point that they're interested in that conversation, didn't they? And they fired a pixel, and we can now take them to that next logical step, which could be another article. It could be an opt-in, could be an offer to buy. It could be a webinar that goes into a deeper conversation about what was in the article. It could be a lot of things. But now with the technology the way we have it, I would safely say we can call that a lead, right? Because we have the tools to call it a lead, whereas we didn't before. So hopefully that answers your question. And like when you look at the way Facebook's algorithm works and what Kurt's talking about with momentum and all that stuff, it ties into this big, holistic conversation.
Yeah, it really does. There's a couple things in here I want to mention as well, too. Is Roberto, you said for someone getting started, do you recommend going after one avatar, more than one? Really, I just posted in here as well, too. Molly Pittman, the ad grid is amazing. We use this all the time with clients. Molly's a great friend of mine. Absolutely. Go over the ad grid. That'll help you expand your avatar just a little bit. I wouldn't go after completely separate avatars. So I'm going to go back to yoga just because it's kind of a broad term that everybody pretty much understands. So, for instance, I may go after yoga instructor, yoga certifications, top yoga magazines. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go after a completely different niche yet. Right. I want to find my affinity audience. Who's close to liking yoga? And then I want to figure out that avatar. because ideally I want to make sure that my avatar is aligned with my landing page, my sales page, my follow-up. Now, you may have two different types of avatars that may go through the same type of the sales funnel. Let me give you an example of a client that we're working with. We're working with a client right now who helps health practitioners get online. And it shows them, instead of, health practitioners, kind of like a chiropractor, if you're moving your hands, right, working with people, you're getting paid. But if you're not moving your hands, you're not getting paid. But people who are really health conscious, like Shecky's been down an amazing health journey the last couple of years, they would really, Shecky, you have some interesting information. Would you want to tell 10 people a day, or would you rather tell 20,000 people a day on some of the information that you found out that that can help others, right?
Well, I'd rather tell 20,000, but I want those 20,000 to be targeted. And yeah, I feel actually a little stronger than you do, Kurt, about this question, because I talk to a lot of people that, like, when you first become a member of Social Media Ad Genius, you get a call with me. And I gotta tell you guys that there's a lot of people out there that are like, well, I'm going to do this, and I've got this networking business over here, and I've got my fuzzy blanket business over here, and I've got this. And I got arrows. What's that?
And I'm selling arrows. So pretty much that's the same avatar, right?
Yeah. And so what's important about dialing in that at least one niche, I wouldn't necessarily use the word avatar here, is you take that perfect avatar, and as you start testing, you're going to see some variances of that. But what you have to learn is you have to learn how to develop a strong avatar, right? How to find out what that avatar likes, how to develop affinity audiences from that, how to install the pixels so that you can do it all there. And so the people that I've coached and said, hey, look, do it this way once, and let's just learn this process. Invariably, they always have much greater success than the person who's trying to do it across 3 or 4 different niches or offers. It's not hard to do, but when you're first learning a process, why would you want to learn it across a whole bunch of different, you're just like shooting yourself in the foot. So I would say to anybody that's out there that's new, right, if you're watching this now, pick whichever one you think is your best offer for right now, what you want to work on the next 90, 120, 180 days. Forget about everything else. I know it's a great opportunity, whatever. Forget about everything else and just get focused down to doing that and learn this process, and you'll be just fine. You can go back and then replicate it for all those other processes with your eyes closed once you do it once or twice the first time.
Well, the thing is and I want to go back to this as well, Shecky. This is really important. When you're buying data, you can't really make a mistake as long as you learn from that data. It's really important, right? So, for example, let's go back to yoga. Let's say that we set up a sales page that didn't sell anything. We're like, crap. So then what you do, we're like, okay, I'm going to set up an opt-in page and retarget the audience that didn't buy anything to see if they're going to opt in, right? How does that align with my avatar? Can I get somebody to opt in? Crap. I didn't get anybody to opt in. What can I do? Because I've already targeted these people. They didn't buy, they didn't opt in, but I know that they like yoga. I know that I spent time on the targeting. What can I find? Let's put them in front of a yoga article. Will they at least click on the dang article? Will they at least read the article? Because see, what happens is you can always take a next step forward based off the data that you just saw. But if you don't read the data, I had a very interesting 2 calls today where someone asked me a question and I'm like, look, I know without a doubt that the sales page is wrong. And they go, how do you know that? And I go, because we sent 10,000 clicks and the conversion was really low. Now, you have a whole ad team, or you have a creative team. You have a team that writes copy. You have a website designer team. And they said, Kurt, so what's the problem? And I go, your team failed you. I would fire your entire team. And they're like, whoa. I've known the website designer. These are really good friends of mine for designers. Why? And I go, because let me show you. Your buy rate was a 1/5 of what the average should be. Like when I look at national averages. Your opt-in rate should be at 60% because of the warm leads. It was at 8. So just to let you know, if we would have sent the same traffic, but our conversions were double, your launch would have made 4 times more the amount of money than what you did right now. And it all comes down to conversions. And it comes down to, okay, if I followed up with this audience and this wasn't the right language, how am I going to follow up again? You always have the opportunity to follow up through retargeting ads or email. It's the only 2 choices. So if you're not getting opt-ins, you better be thinking about your retargeting. If you are getting opt-ins, definitely create similar audiences from those opt-ins, once you get over 100. And definitely make sure you're retargeting opt-ins with a different message than what you're targeting non-opt-ins, non-buys. Very important. Shecky, I got to plug in my computer, so it's going to make it dizzy for just a second.
Yeah, we're also at the top of the hour.
We're at the top of the hour anyway, so my computer's about ready to die. It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
And I think it's about ready to go in the air conditioning here. Shecky, these winters here in Austin, 85 degrees? Huh. I know you don't have to shovel.
I don't know. It feels like spring to me. I just want to say, too, like, not only have we got something really amazing for Wednesday, but next week's Blab, it looks to be, it's not official yet, but it looks like we're going to have a very, very special guest. So,
one of our students is doing just amazing things. I can't wait to talk to her online.
I haven't had the conversation with her yet to solidify everything, but it's looking good at this point. So I'd say you guys that come next week, there's a big treat for you next week because you're going to see just an amazing case study. And this Wednesday, like all the nuances of what we're talking about here, we're going to do the deep dive, or we're going to look at numbers, or we're going to look at strategies of exactly how to do this stuff correctly. So by all means, come Wednesday. We got a great training for you. And I don't know, I don't have anything else. I'm just happy to be here. It's a beautiful day. And Kurt, thanks for all your insights, brother. You're on fire today.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and I'm going to put this link down here again, just so everyone can, register for the breakout session. And again, just to be completely open with you and transparent. I mean, the way that we do it, my computer's locking up a little bit here. Put in the link, Shecky.
I can put it in.
Oh, no, hang on a second. I got it. There we go. There we go. So remember, basically what we do is we have these breakout sessions that are live, general public can join, and we've recorded these over the last 90 days in our 12 steps of the Profit Factory. So if you register for the webinar here, you are absolutely happy to join us live, ask questions live on Wednesday. We're going to go really step by step on how to properly use the artificial intelligence, and you'll be able to get the recording for the next 7 days for the general public. And if you would like access to all 12 steps in the Profit Factory, you'll find out more on the Webby, or you can just click on the blog and figure out and go from there as well too. Basically what we have is we make it really simple. If you want to join the Social Media Ad Genius family, it's just $97 a month or $497 for the year. You can stop at any time that you want, but you're going to spend the money anyway on ads. Once you learn from a community of amazing individuals that, we've already spent millions of dollars online. And when I say amazing individuals, I'm not just talking about Shecky and I'm talking about the thousands of people from around the world that are sharing the collective information inside of our community. So I love our family. I call it the SMAG family all the time. It's so much better than a community. I mean, the things that we're able to do, the things that we're able to learn from each other and share, it's literally life-changing. So, Shecky, I have 2% left on my Mac. Anything else you want to say before we close this out and I stop the recording, sir?
Yeah, just to say that, for any of you that are thinking about SMAG, like I said, the favorite part of my job is being able to get on the phone with you and work through your stuff. So, during that first month, when you're just kind of getting rolling with this stuff, like by all means, I'm happy to work through some stuff with you and give you some really, really great insights. I think you'll find that will more than just that call alone will more than pay for the cost of your membership. We just had some great stories that just came out of that call. It's been amazing. It's my favorite part of my job.
Yeah, let's be honest, at a $97 a month, right? Like one tip will easily make your money back for the entire year.
Yeah.
One funnel review. It's really quite easy. And quite honestly, one of the most rewarding things that I can do really in my career is I love it when people walk up, and Shecky, you've heard this. People walk up like in the airport. Oh my goodness, there was this one tip that you gave me this one time that, changed my offer or changed the way that I'm able to live, or just, and we love to be able to do that. So that's why we love to really talk about the community as well too. Shecky, I'm trying to post the link in there for Social Media Ad Genius. I know it's mag too. And then I went to offer, and then here it is right here. It's just loading a little slow on my end, but I'm going to put that link in here too. If anybody wants to join us and check, if you can put that in there too, right before my computer dies, I'm going to make sure that I shut down the Blab. So you guys, there's the offer right there. Click on the offer that we have. Again, all these recordings, we're gonna style up into a product that we're gonna be charging over $1,000 for. So make sure if you get in now, get in early, get into the alpha stages. And Shaky, I got to run and stop the recording. Otherwise, my computer's going to die, and we might not have a recording this time.
Go for it, dude. Thank you, brother. I will talk to you very soon. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It's truly a pleasure.
See you guys. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.